Previously on the Writer's Room Game Show.
We lost a bet with Nicolas Cage and now have to offer him a role in your film.
I feel like that's winning the bet.
I feel... yes, that's winning the bet.
And I like the idea of Nick Cage as this sad guy. He's done all this crazy action movie stuff throughout eternity. He's like a sad sack, and he gets wrapped up in this action movie, and he's like...
It sucks being a vampire when you don't want to be a vampire. So he's like John Wick, but if John Wick was immortal and only weakness was a stake through the heart, all out balls to the wall,
explosions like guns,
and he's like, sum equals boom.
I went to Vampire University in Transylvania. I like the idea of their ghost, let's say it's Tony Hawk, like what we've been playing.
What do you mean, let's say? It is Tony Hawk. It's in the movie.
But I like the idea of them sort of...
I just saw your notes. I'm sorry, I just saw your notes. Tony Hawk dies, becomes ghost, but is an invisible man. We're done. Let's pitch.
That's the movie. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writer's Room Game Show. It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from a set of random prompts given to us by a big Hollywood studio. We are, I think this is episode 4 of season 3.
Yeah,
we've
been a good season so far. I mean, I think it has. I've had fun. I feel I've enjoyed our ideas this season a lot.
Yes, I have too. Nothing against season 2, but
we're like against season 2.
30 movies into this podcast so far, probably. We've done a lot. Probably close to 30.
We've accomplished so much. Our careers are thriving.
We've sold one movie
in a fake world, to
a fake Hollywood studio. Seth, before we get started, I had one question. I saw on Twitter this week, or Letterboxd, I think, you saw the new Uncharted movie.
I did see Uncharted.
Should I see this movie?
Oh, I mean, okay.
Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
I would recommend this movie to a friend if you enjoyed. Look, I wouldn't recommend it to you. I think it's fun.
Mm-hmm. I like fun movies.
Did you play the game? Any of the games?
No, but I know a lot about the games.
The games are wonderful. Especially the most recent one is just one of my favorite games of all time. And it does a good job of capturing the spirit of the game. And I'm okay even with the casting. I wasn't at first at all, but I am now. There's some weird things about it that felt like reshoots and rewrites, like a few small changes but overall the action sequences are very, very fun, very inventive. And I felt the same way after I felt after watching another Ruben Fleischer film, Venom, the first Venom. I was expecting this to be like a debacle, and it was very entertaining. That's how I felt about the first Venom, and I felt that way about this one. So I liked it. I would recommend it to you.
Okay.
I would recommend it to anybody, except
Interesting.
dummies. I wouldn't recommend it to dummies.
I've been following all of because it's been in development hell for so long, and so many different directors like Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah,
and David
Dan was
Russell
attached to it. I've totally forgot Dan was attached to it.
And then by the time it comes out, I'm like, But it still looks like, a fun time in the theater. Like my expectations are so low. I'm sure I'm gonna, love the experience of seeing it in the theater. So
yeah,
thought I'd ask because I saw Elliot review it.
Yeah, he gave it a good grade on the.
He gave it a good grade.
On the 8.5.
He gave
out of 10.
1989's Batman a not great grade, which
in his mind 6 is actually still a good grade.
Oh, is it? Okay, I can see it. It's like a 3.5, just like a good
on a grading scale
movie.
Where 9 is the most realistic, perfect score you're going to get, and even then it's reserved for movies like Hot Fuzz and Spider-Verse, which that alone needs to be a crossover Grail. Film. 6 is a good grade. Yeah, and I thought he was being very generous with that after we watched it together, because there's a lot that's great about that one, but so much of it for me is nostalgia and the fact that it just was this massive culture bomb.
It just seems like it's big. Oh, that must be the studio. I guess it's time to write our next movie. Let me take this. Hello? Hey, studio. How's it going? Okay, yeah. We'd love to. Yeah, just like every week. All right. Thanks so much. Bye. They obviously want us to develop a movie here on this podcast, just like every week. Really running out of quips here for the studio call, Seth.
All right, this week the genre we've been assigned is Ghost Story.
Ooh, Ghost Story.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever gotten that.
I don't think we have either. The tone is mysterious. A mysterious ghost story.
Okay.
So that's nice.
I think those kind of go together, yeah.
Yes. The demographic is people that think hot dogs are sandwiches.
Oddly specific.
Obvious. That was where I absolutely thought this assignment was going. And the studio has mandated that, this is an executive from our Discord named Chad.
I love that.
They're mandating that Tony Hawk does a 1080. What is a 1080?
You know how a 360 is one full rotation.
180 is half.
Yeah, and then 720 is 2 full rotations. A 1080 is 3 full rotations.
Is there any correlation with the fact that those are both aspect ratio resolution? Like those are both video resolutions?
Sure, there's something about that. Yeah, 360p, 720p, and 1080p.
Yeah.
Yeah, surely that there's something to do with that. But yes, Tony Hawk famously was the first person to do a 900, and
that sounds so. A 1080 and failed. So a 1080 and he hit the ground.
Well, no, 900 is 2.5 rotations.
It still sounds like he just was going for a 1080 and then hit a wall.
But anyways, yeah, that's fun. Tony Hawk doing a 1080, and let's randomly generate some ideas for us for our ideal pile as well before we start our timer.
So the pre-existing ideas you and I are coming to the table with this week. The suburbs, a werewolf, multiple dragons, a helicopter chase.
Oh my gosh.
And
then one more.
And a public pool.
Wow. Okay. So with that, I will start our timer.
The Writer's Room game show has begun.
So what if Tony Hawk goes to do a 1080 and fails and dies?
Wait, Tony Hawk is our ghost in this scenario already.
Yeah. Well, what if the main character is a ghost?
I was thinking he was going to be like, there's some skate, competition or something, and he does a 1080 and it's a background thing. But you went straight for Tony Hawk is the ghost.
Well, here where I'm going with this. The character says they are the ghost of Tony Hawk, and now I want everyone to know I wrote this story. I made this short film prior to what's his name's Ghost Story, the film that
David Lowery's.
Everybody who's ever had no money
Shot
to
down
make a
the street
movie
from here.
loved. And in 2004, I made my very first short film called Suburban Tumbleweed, in which there was a character named Patrick. Have I talked about this on the podcast?
I don't think you have.
A character named Patrick the Ghost, who was a ghost, a guy who died and came back as a ghost, but looks exactly like a normal person, and therefore gets no sympathy or empathy or does not get treated like a ghost. So he wears a sheet over his head with a Cubs hat and a mask, just so people will understand and acknowledge he's a ghost, but of course no one believes he's really a ghost. That was a character that I made up.
You know anything about these hooded figures?
Not very much. Have you seen them?
A few.
Are they scary?
Sort of.
Are they as scary as me?
No, not as scary as you. You're almost as scary as a pillow fort.
Shut up.
No, really. I'm trying very hard right now not to break down in tears in front of you.
I can't help it that I'm a crappy ghost. I'm just opaque as a freaking brick wall.
So what I'm going with here is there's some kind of situation like that where someone could tell everyone that he's the ghost of Tony Hawk, but no one believes him. And we actually have Tony Hawk play him in the same way that Fassbender played Frank.
Yes. And Frank. Which is an incredible movie.
I love Frank with a killer song.
So in this scenario, it'd be like David Lowery style where they are dressed up like a ghost, but they are also literally a ghost.
Exactly. I don't know if we could do that because Ghost Story is so recent.
Yeah, I was about to say, to me, it would seem like it'd be a little tough because people are like, oh yeah, that's just a spin on a ghost story, but it's a comedy. I would assume it's a comedy if it's about Tony Hawk.
I just really wanted Tony Hawk to die in the first act.
While doing a 1080.
Yes, I want the Meet Joe Black of skate movies.
Why don't we still do it? Why don't we make this so it's a ghost story and mysterious? We can, if we do some sort of fun extreme sports comedy, because to me, the demographic, people who think hot dogs are sandwiches, that's just crazy people. People that are out of their minds, because obviously a hot dog is a hot dog. Sandwich is a sandwich.
I said earlier I want the radical of the Meet Joe Black of skate movies, but I'm thinking it's like the Meet Joe Black of hot rod movies, of the movie Hot Rod.
Yes, that same kind of thing where we kind of do a fun comedy, but with Tony Hawk literally as a ghost, like haunting someone, or maybe it's a up and coming like, wannabe skater that Tony Hawk has died and they can see the ghost of Tony Hawk.
But is it Tony Hawk, or could we do like in Casper, like Devon Sawa dies and inexplicably comes back as like an animated illustrated ghost? Like, could he be like a stylized ghost like that?
Why not?
Or he's invisible, and it's like an Invisible Man movie, and so there's like a skateboard.
Can we hear the voice, or is it just like the spirit?
No, we hear okay, that's actually funny. But yes, we hear the voice, but everything else about it is an Invisible Man movie, essentially.
Yes, that's pretty great. Because we can, and the mysterious tone, like even if we interweave.
It's mysterious because we never see him. Like, who is he?
Well, I was going to say, we can interweave some sort of, mystery element where there's like, they've got to figure something out, but that's sort of, the bones of it is like someone sort of being haunted by an invisible.
It's like Ghost, how the whole, which I only just recently saw.
Can I tell you something?
No.
I've never seen
I just saw it last year. It's terrible. It's one of the worst.
I just know the scene, the famous, ceramic.
You watch
scene.
that scene at once a year, right? That's a tradition for you.
It's
but just not the rest
Day.
of the film. Yeah, Valentine's Day and Halloween, twice a year. It's bad.
But
it's an absolutely terrible movie, which surprised me.
I'm an unabashed Whoopi Goldberg fan, so
she's so good. How have we not talked about this on the podcast? I feel like we talked about this on this podcast.
We talked about it just early because in our promos, I think we have a Whoopi Goldberg mandate in our first promo, just because
she absolutely destroys.
Love
in that
the
movie.
idea of every film needs to have Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Well, because she destroys in that movie, and she earned her Oscar and everybody else's Oscar in that movie. So anyway, what I was saying was it's like he dies and then he's like trying to solve his murder as a ghost and trying to help. So I guess what I'm getting at is yes, the mystery. No, Tony Hawk needs to die as an accident. I think that's the best possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He can't get murdered.
No,
but maybe there's something that but we just did a movie where someone came back to life to solve.
Yeah, and it was the first of its kind.
But I'm if Tony, I like the idea of their ghost, let's say it's Tony Hawk, like what we've been playing.
What do you mean, let's say? It is Tony Hawk. It's in the movie.
But I like the idea of them sort of.
Just saw your notes. I'm sorry. I just saw your notes. Tony Hawk dies, becomes ghost, but is an invisible man. We're done. Let's pitch.
That's the movie. But I really like the idea of, because the whole thing with ghosts is they haunt either a house or a person, or they're never just, even with David Lowery's A Ghost Story, it was all they're in that house and they're just watching out the window, and so I like the idea of he dies at a skate park or at an event or something. He sort of haunts that area or haunts a skateboarder or something like that. And eventually, and it's Tony Hawk. It's not like he's a menacing figure. I feel like he's one of the America's nicest.
Yeah.
You think of Tony Hawk, you're oh yeah, that guy rules.
Well, it'd be the nicest voice ever. Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like he has to just die on accident, and more just helping a human character, or figuring out some sort of mystery, or a Ratatouille kind of thing where it's like Mike, where it's suddenly this kid is an incredible skateboarder, but it's only because Tony Hawk's ghost is helping him along, or something like that, as opposed to a mystery about solving a death or a murder or something like that, because we've done that already.
We have. I want to see someone doing a 1080, so I'm gonna watch this Verbo ad real quick. And then
it's just 3 spins.
Wow. But boy, is it hardcore. This is somebody named Tom.
You have to get big air and a lot of speed to.
Tom Shar stomps first ever skateboarding 1080. So how would you die? Would you get hit by a bird?
You could fall really hard on your head and just, and die.
That's true.
These are huge vert ramps. It's not you're doing it on the street.
But I guess I'm trying to think of, is it dramatic enough that he just falls? If he falls, it needs to be off screen, and we.
Well, and he doesn't have to, Tony Hawk, has done 1080s multiple times. So
why am I not watching Tony Hawk do the 1080?
Him doing a 1080 is a big, start of the thing, and then he just dies by a fluke, a bird flies into him or something really mundane happens to kill him. Because Tony Hawk is Tony Hawk. It's not surprising.
See, that's why I'm saying if there was some way a drone or a bird would hit him, Like, and
dude, what if a kid is flying a drone and like filming the competition and accidentally kills Tony Hawk?
And the kid is the main character. Tony Hawk is like helping him redeem himself.
Yes. He's like, it's okay, kid. You know, it happens.
It's a little less absurd than
Can I see the shot?
Okay, so it's a little less absurd than I was thinking it would be, but I'm willing to go with it.
Yeah, why not? We might as well. I mean, we're like a good 10 minutes into this. And I think that the two ideas that are the easiest to incorporate into this is a public pool in the suburbs. But if we're already having a ghost in our story, then a werewolf isn't too far-fetched because they're both sort of Halloween figures, you know?
Okay, if the werewolf is the bad guy in the story, then that needs to factor into how...
I love, so far this season, we have a story about basically a zombie in episode 2. In episode 3, we have vampires. And then we've been served werewolf and ghost in this episode.
It's the spookiest season yet on the Writers' Room Game Show.
This is a spooky season.
Spooky.
Podcast.
At my hearing. So...
What are you struggling with, Seth?
Where the hell the werewolf comes from?
We don't have to use it. That's the thing.
Not struggling.
You know?
Just like, to me,
the pile.
If the struggle, to me, it's like if the werewolf is there, I feel like the werewolf needs to be responsible for the death somehow, for Tony Hawk's death somehow.
Oh, so we just go full sort of the Monster Squad kind of thing, where it's like kind of this fun Halloween-y kind of tone.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I kind of like better as...
Then let's ditch the werewolf and take the 2 points off, you know?
Ditch the werewolf.
Same with multiple dragons. Like,
I was about to, so I looked at it, I was like, now we're good. Oh, multiple dragons is what's next.
But the suburbs and public pool, it's like those are easy 2 locations we incorporate.
Well, and is it an empty public pool?
Maybe it could be like,
is it an empty public pool that they build a ramp in or something? Or they build a, what's it called?
Oh, yeah. And a pool. Skating in the pool. That's easy.
Oh, yeah, because that's right. But Tony Hawk wouldn't be in that pool. He would be like, so where's this kid filming Tony Hawk?
It can be at some skate competition.
Because if it's, skate competition. Welcome to the 4th annual skate competition.
Bro, this could be in the 90s. It doesn't have to be like
We've already been set in the 90s,
Tony Hawk.
Right? We've already set something in the 90s before. I feel like... So here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to Space Jam this and see like Tony Hawk at his, at his like Burbank home that's not really his home. Like with family that isn't his family, doing tricks in his backyard, then his kid hits him with a drone. Maybe I do want to do that.
Well, what if it's at the X Games?
Significantly more expensive. But does he still compete?
No. He doesn't still compete, but it could be a big thing where it's like Tony Hawk is doing the ramp again, and it's, it's like almost like a special event at the X Games or something like that. And we've, and maybe this kid, maybe our main character in the beginning, we kind of see him with his friends, and he's a, filmmaker kid. He films all the skate videos, and he's working on like his opus skate video. He basically makes a plan to like sneak into the X Games to like film, because it's going to make his skate video incredible. And he like brings his drone in and flies him. That's what, kills Tony Hawk. I don't know. Does he go on the run, or like, I don't know how they would know he did it. Actually, I'm really struggling with this now. Like, we've gone so far into this idea. I'm in it. So listen to this. Yeah.
I never knew this. This is from an article on some site called Insider. This is July 19th, 2021. This is recent. A 12-year-old skateboarder, Guy Curry, or Gooey, oh God, I'm saying his name. Well, Gui. So I don't know how that's pronounced. Guy Curry made history at the X Games over the weekend, landing the first 1080 in competition. So this is recent.
Nice.
Curry landed the trick in front of skating legend Tony Hawk, who dropped into the competition as a surprise entrant just before the event. For Hawk, 53, it was his first taste of X Games competition since 2003. Picked a good day to show up because he had a front row seat to watch Curry make history as he made 3 complete rotations in the air and landed clean. Curry was in tears after landing the trick and was quickly embraced by the older skaters around him, including Hawk, who celebrated Curry's achievement by holding 10 fingers in the air to the camera.
What if we did revisionist history and it was this event and Tony was like, I'm going to try. And he hops in and that's when it happens.
So it was revisionist history and it was this event. And then, so Guy, I don't know how to say his name, didn't end up doing it.
Probably Guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Never mind. I don't know how to say this guy's name, so I don't want to write him as a character into a story. I feel bad. Like,
I mean, it can just be, it doesn't even, we don't have to use real events. It could be like, younger skater does a 1080 at an event and Tony Hawk is there and makes a surprise appearance and drops into the ramp. That's when he gets hit by this drone and dies. And But we still
Naturally.
need a sort of we need a hook though, because it becomes a ghost there. My thing is we still don't quite have the story yet of what he does once he's a ghost.
Yeah.
Because if we have this kid who killed him, obviously the kid's going to feel bad for killing Tony Hawk.
Yeah, as anyone would.
I think most people would feel bad killing Tony Hawk, America's sweetheart.
Everyone knows in this that. Yes.
Yes. When I say who's America's sweetheart, I think most people would say Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, not anyone else whose name starts with T. Yeah.
But then it's like, does Tony just appear? Like, or he looks at his skateboard and
No, he's
suddenly it's
invisible.
like, what's happening? He's like, hey, kid. Ah! But it's like, we still don't have the story. Whoa, we're getting a fax from the studio.
Whoa, that's so convenient.
Let's see if they give us a wild card mandate that's going to help us out on our path to the story.
I just saw it, did you?
No, I didn't get it. Did it come through on your side?
You need to get your fax machine fixed. There is
I really do.
very little money for VFX. That's all it says.
Okay, so we're doing an indie,
Yes, which means
which might help with our little ghost thing because
No
he's
X Games.
literally invisible.
yeah, which means no X Games probably.
If they don't have money for VFX, then there's not going to have a lot of money for the actual production either, shooting at the X Games. So yeah.
But what if this kid is watching the X Games and Tony Hawk dies on TV and then appears to him because for some reason he's been chosen.
You've been chosen.
Yeah, for Tony Hawk's ghost to help you. And he's like, I'm good. I don't really need help. He's like, no, but this is what has happened.
Oh no. Should we ditch the Tony Hawk as a ghost idea?
I think we're far into this and need to commit to it.
We're so deep on Tony Hawk doing a 1080 and becoming a ghost.
Well, think about it. You're a kid. You're not even into skating. And like Tony Hawk's ghost shows up at your house and is like, hey, I'm here to mentor you. And and you're like, I'm good. And he's like, well, I'm not. I can't leave. Like, I can't go into heaven. I can't do anything until I help you with some unfinished business. And you're like, I'm 8.
I'm 8 years old.
I only have unfinished business.
Let's think of ghost story tropes because, of course, like
Great idea.
I think we like Ghostbusters, which the ghosts in Ghostbusters, they're ghosts because they have unfinished business, right? Like that's
what's implied in Afterlife. Yeah.
So lots of times the ghosts are there to teach a lesson, like in Christmas Carol. Where
that's what I'm thinking. Is it's Christmas Carol, and this it's like Tony Hawk has been sent with an unclear objective, like go help this kid. He has unfinished business.
Dude, what if? Yes, I like the idea of there's like a Christmas Carol, like a ghost company that they're like they send ghosts to people to help teach lessons, and like the ghost of Christmas present or whatever is like off on vacation or something like that. And they're like, who are the new recruitments? They're like, oh, we just got Tony Hawk in, and like send them to so and so to help them.
And
with
we
this.
don't see any of this. We just get this explained from invisible Tony Hawk to this kid.
Yes, and it's just like it sends them to him. It's like, I guess I'm supposed to help you for something, and the story on the mystery can be like, what does he need help with?
It.
Like, what is?
That's it. What is this kid's unfinished business?
And
what does he need help with?
They both have to figure out, like the kid and Tony have to figure out what they're. Because Tony Hawk, he's just like, let me move. I just want to move on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
Like, I'm stuck here until I help you, kid. And the kid's like, dude, like, I don't want to be haunted by freaking Tony Hawk.
And like, he's like, any kid is like one of us. Like, we don't know anything about Tony Hawk. We are not, I say as me, like, we're way more into movies and stuff and have no idea.
Yes.
We know who he is.
But now our story is very, it's a little bit more introspective than and less plot heavy than a lot of our ideas.
I think that's okay because it's for people that think hot dogs are sandwiches, and those people are idiots. And we are able to...
Our focus group is going to be listening to this and be like, man, they're really going hard after my sandwich opinions.
Well, if you think hot dogs are sandwiches, you don't have sandwich opinions. You have hot dog opinions. And you're a big, dumb idiot.
Okay, I like this idea. And so our first act can almost be like establishing our main character guy or whoever we want to call him. Would it be more interesting? It might be more interesting if it's, I don't know. We'll go with that. And if we establish their life.
What were you going to say?
Well, I'm just trying to think because originally we had like someone who's interested in skateboarding and.
No, here's what I think. Well, I just cut you off. I asked you to talk and then I just cut you off.
No,
sorry.
Please talk.
Well, I got an idea. Are you sure?
Please clap. Yes.
Please clap.
Go.
I'm sorry. Please, what is please clap from?
It's what's his name? Jeb Bush stands
That's
up there
right.
and he says something and then he says, please clap.
So stupid.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Okay, so we open on like a news story of like pro skateboarder and skateboarding legend Tony Hawk was tragically killed today. Like, well, like it opens on just hard, like on the news that
on the TV, and it's like slowly zooming out from the TV.
Exactly, that Tony Hawk has died. It's just like Tony Hawk has died, and pro skateboard legend Tony Hawk, legendary skateboarder and X Games gold medalist Tony Hawk has died today at the age of 53. And we get the information like that he was, practicing so and so when he was hit by a drone or by a bird or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It would actually, a bird would be great because his nickname is Birdman, and he's got a company called Birdhouse skateboard company.
That's all in here too. The anchor says that sensitively. And then at the end of the story, we hard cut to black and hear doorbell ding dong and some kid.
Wait, the ghost rings the doorbell.
Yep, we hear a doorbell and we cut to some
literally
kid,
invisible.
8-year-old
and
kid
can go through walls.
Well, 8-year-old kid answers the door and we hear someone like, mom like, who is it? And he's like, no one's here. And then we hear like another ding dong, opens it, and Tony Hawk's voice is like, I'm right here. Can you not see me? And that's how our movie begins. And we begin.
Wow, we're right in it.
Right in it.
I kind of like that. It's not what I would expect typically in these kind of movies. Because now it's just like, okay, this is our movie. It's
well, there's a voice talking to him, and the kid is like, nope, closes the door, locks it.
Dude.
And they call the police or something. So then, we don't hear from Tony Hawk voice for a little bit. Then that night, there's a knock on his window, and he's like freaking out, calls the police again. I'm thinking for the first act, we drag this out to where like...
and they feel like they're being haunted, and they like call like ghost paranormal investigators and stuff.
Yes.
Like, it seems like you guys are good. Like, there's not,
I mean, Tony Hawk's over there, but other than that...
And it's just like, but it's always like, did you see Invisible Man with the new one?
Yeah.
There's always the creepy scenes where it's like focusing on like a couch or a chair and there's nothing there, but we just have the feeling that there's something there and it's just
but then he's over there. But then like in our movie, he's actually completely in a different space than where we are, than where the kid is like hard focusing.
Yes. It's like this tension filled like zoom in on this thing and then it's just cut off by like, hey kid, I'm over here.
And there's a hat with sunglasses behind him just floating.
Yes. So our whole first act could be like the haunting and he's like, kid, just like, can we talk? Like I want to, because I'm trying to think Tony Hawk's goal would be to like, I got to figure out what I'm doing here so that I can move on. Like I'm thinking that would be his goal. And she's like, I'm dead. I just want to like, they told me that I could, I can move on and go to heaven once I, complete this task. They just, they're very unclear with their, I'm just thinking this weird, company or like ghost company that we don't hear about. If there's like literally like a creative brief for what he has to do when he's down there, but it's like, there's not enough information. So he's like, got to try to figure it out on his own before he can move on. I don't know for the movie. I feel like if there's something where it's like, maybe I'm supposed to help you like be cool. Like how like do kids like you at school? And he's like, what kind of question is that? Like,
I'm sorry.
I think
That's
so.
So good. Maybe I'm supposed to help you be cool.
It's like, do kids like you at school? It's like, I think so. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, do you skateboard? He's like, no, like skateboarding's not that cool anymore. It's 2022. And he's like, what?
I'm gonna just pretend you didn't say that. Like, just because it's not cool here in Nebraska doesn't mean it's not cool everywhere else.
And there's like, I don't know if there's Tony Hawk is like making this kid's life better somehow, but he's like, it's not working. I don't know. Like, I feel like you're the coolest kid in school now, but I'm still here. Like, what's the point?
He's like, I'm exactly as cool as I was before. There's nothing.
I just skateboard now.
Yeah, I just skateboard. I really I love teaching him to skateboard. Like, even though he really doesn't need. I think that this kid is just like everything about this kid's life is pretty great, pretty good. Like,
it's pretty good so far. But there's got to be something where it's like, especially in this kind of movie, if we are making sort of in my head, this is like a PG sort of like fun hot rod-esque like Nickelodeon kind of thing.
Oh, fun.
At least like if it's going to be an 8-year-old kid and it's Tony Hawk as a ghost, and like we can play up this sort of lonely island where it's
I always think like Hunt for the Wilder People type thing where it's like
totally
accessible, but maybe a little more Nickelodeon-y, like where it's actually Nickelodeon branded. It could be.
Yeah, but it's like Nickelodeon and like early 2000s. They were making like School of Rock's Nickelodeon movie, Nacho Libre, like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But there's got to be some sort of emotional arc where it's like they can help each other and like they learned something from each other.
Is there anything that Tony Hawk has like preached, like that's like his like mantra, his like whole thing that we could build it around?
He's Tony
Hawk, if you're listening,
literally
I'm
known as like
sorry.
the most like genuinely likable guy.
Also, come on the show.
On Google, it says that it's Tony Hawk, a nice guy. He's a genuinely likable guy. Like he's got kids and like he's all about just like having fun and like, you know, doing what you love, like that kind of thing. So I don't know. Because I wouldn't want to make this kid's life like too, like there's got to be something that he can learn from this ghost. But it can't be too obvious too. That's the tough part. We haven't had one of these in a while.
I know, that's okay. But I actually like this a lot better than this is a concept I would be willing to sit down for like for like a week and really try and break and figure out. But I like the idea of this like, maybe this kid just needed a friend and doesn't know it. Like maybe this kid is could that be something? Because we haven't really given everything we've been talking about this kid. He doesn't have like friends that he's telling about. True. And maybe that's the thing that's kind of being revealed is like, yeah, he's good. He's happy. People are nice to him. Like, and he's like, did you tell anybody about me? He's like, no. I mean, who would I tell? Like, I'm not gonna tell my mom. Maybe just needs like a friend, like a big brother.
Yeah. I just don't know the sort of, I do like that. Just like the obstacle in that, like what is the sort of drama that we can create to just because if he used to have a friend maybe and then he lost that friend and that's revealed, or if there's maybe he has some friends or just not that great of friends and he needs like to sort of if Tony sort of becomes a friend but then he realizes that he has to help him like get a new friend, if that makes sense. So it's like
keep going. Yeah,
I'm just thinking like how to get there.
A werewolf.
Yeah, a helicopter.
First off, this is the kind of movie where like these two, like so much of this movie is these two just having conversations and like arguing about whether or not a hot dog is a sandwich.
And of course, right? Tony Hawk thinks a hot dog is a sandwich.
And that's how we appeal to that demographic.
Of course.
By having him be wrong. And while we're at it, he's also an anti-vaxxer and can also be,
no.
Yeah. Let's just keep him
all
in
these
believing
fringe
in lies.
opinions.
Yeah, all these fringe lies.
Yeah, I like where we're going with this. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so we start a movie like you said. Tony Hawk dies. Our first act is Tony Hawk haunting this house and then like trying to
from the perspective of the kid. Like the kid is like, he's hearing Tony Hawk's voice. There's these weird occurrences happening here and there. And really what's going on is Tony is like, I like keeping it from the kid's perspective, right?
Yeah.
What's actually going on off camera that we're not seeing is Tony is like, how do I do this? Like, how do I like every time I knock on the door, try to talk to this kid, they call the cops and then, or a medium or something like, so how does he finally
because I like the idea of like, they're literally like paranormal investigators, like coming through the house and like, Tony's just like chilling. He's like, guys, I'm not trying to do like, I'm just trying to figure this out.
Maybe he finally just approaches him at school.
And especially if there's like, he can't leave the premises or something, like Tony is locked into, he's like trying to leave, but he's like, I literally can't leave. Like, I don't know the ghost rules or whatever.
Oh, what premises?
What's that?
What do you mean? What premises can he not leave?
If he was sent to this house from the ghost agency or whatever to solve this problem that he doesn't know, if he's like locked to like haunt that house and he like can't, exit that area until he's finished the task, it gives him something where he's like, he stays there even though there's like cops coming and paranormal people and like all this stuff. He's like, I don't want to be here, but like I have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It gives him like the reason to stay there. Or I guess maybe the reason would be so he can solve the problem and move on with his.
Well, but I do like the kid. I do like the Tony being able to not be at the house. Like I was thinking, like if he approached the kid at school, like he would basically the kid would have like he could corner the kid into a situation where like he would look crazy for like screaming ghost or whatever.
That's true, and that gives the kid a reason to not like him too. If he made him look like an idiot at school.
So maybe like follows him home, and the way that he has a conversation with him is like on the way home from school. Like he's just following the kid and talking to him. Mm-hmm. He's like, prove that you're a ghost and then I'm not going crazy. And so he's like, I don't know, like something he does where he picks up ketchup and pours it all over something. I don't know.
Yes. Something that doesn't require a lot of VFX.
Yeah, there's not very complicated VFX.
That's a lot of practical stuff.
The fact that he's invisible and that really this kid is just going to be doing full-on Bob Hoskins, Roger Rabbit performance to nothing with Tony Hawk off screen.
8-year-old actor is just incredible.
I'm actually very into this movie, to be completely honest. Like,
so I guess with that too, is our whole act one could be him appearing and like trying to get close to this kid so they can talk. And the kid wants nothing to do with him. He shows up to him at school, and maybe at school they can have a little, he makes the kid look crazy because of ghost shenanigans. And then basically after that maybe is when he's like, who are you? Why are you following me? He's like, I'm Tony Hawk. He's like, who's Tony Hawk? The kid doesn't even know who Tony Hawk is. It's like, skateboarder, like incredibly famous. He's like, well, I don't really know what you look like, obviously. And he has to explain that he's a ghost and he's here to, he explains himself. We get some exposition in that maybe. And that sort of sets us on our sort of figuring out the, the whole life lesson thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's our act two. We've got about 5.5 minutes left.
Is there something about to happen to the kid in his life that he doesn't know about and nobody knows about? Like, is his mom about to die or something? Or is he
Oh, no. Yeah, something real tragic. There probably should be something like that. Like the timing where he's like, Tony enters his life right before something big happens.
And maybe this is where I wish I was into skateboarding. Maybe teaching the kid skateboarding is actually equipping him with something to both distract him, but also like keep him going, like keep him motivated, if that makes sense, like to keep him from, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he doesn't really have anything else in his life that he's like, I'm really struggling to see like this kid in my mind, his personality and if he's sort of like has a good life but doesn't have any friends. And
you really? Because I not that I have an actual actor in mind, but I'm seeing this kid fully formed.
Maybe I'm just struggling today with
maybe you were just so popular in high school and as a kid that it's hard for you to. I'm just kidding.
No, definitely not that. But yeah, maybe teach skateboarding. That seems the most natural because that's like something Tony Hawk would immediately be able to do and just assume, oh, I was probably assigned this task because this is what I do. So let me teach you this. And the kid could be like, if I do this, will you leave me alone? He's like, yeah, of course. So we get our training montage of learning skateboarding. His mom looks out the window and it's like...
Okay, I love your idea that he's doing it just to make Tony Hawk's ghost go away. That they've decided, like, this is how I'll go away. Just learn how to skate. This is all I have to contribute.
They both are doing it just to, like, let's, move on. But, like, the kid is, like, doing ollies in the driveway. He's doing an ollie on his board and there's, like, a board that's just, like, with nobody on it, also doing ollies next to him. And the mom is looking on it in horror at the driveway.
I love it.
They've just, like, become like okay with this ghost that is haunting them. But all that happens and then the kid, I don't know if the kid like rolls through school and he's got his skateboard in his backpack smiling like all happy, and Tony like watches from afar and it's like, okay, I accomplished my task, and then nothing happens. He's like, what? What am I still doing here?
I think it's the kind of thing where it's like Tony would need to be taught something too, which my mind always goes to like with people who are famous for doing one thing. I don't know Tony Hawk, so I hate this is a character we made up, right? I hate projecting
this is a fictional version
him.
Of Tony Hawk.
But this idea of like you are not what you do, like is such like a prominent. I mean, the fact that I keep bringing it up in the show says something about me and my own therapy. But
that's the Pizza Time feature that I'm writing is basically all about that as well.
Oh wow! So the idea is to like the idea here is like maybe what the kid teaches Tony like is his own value as a person. Like if you took skating out of Tony Hawk, like what would be left and what is like a value and what was meaningful. And and Tony teaches the kid like what happens when you like some kind of not competitive like sport in your life, but some kind of like thing to push you and motivate you and drive you, some kind of like, and that's really what the story is all about somehow.
What if this kid has tried like 20 different sports and activities and all this stuff and he never follows through on any of it, and all he wants to do is oh, what if he's like a gamer and like he's like, oh yeah, Tony Hawk from the video games. He's like, yeah, I've got, I also am a skateboarder. He's like, oh, you do that in real life? Because he like
Let's
only
do
knows
it.
him
And
from
then on the game.
Tony
And
Hawk
then
Pro
they just-
Skater.
Yeah.
But like his goal could be following through and like finding something and achieving goals. And then Tony Hawk's could be like maybe this kid has really good relationships with his family, and it's like they're almost opposites and they learn that from each other maybe.
Yeah, it's like, I remember the Russo brothers talking about their goal in like the writers' rooms with, no, it wasn't the Russo brothers, it was whoever written like the last several Avengers movies. I forget who their names.
Marcus McFeely and
Yes, they said like the whole arc that they established early on in the MCU it was basically
Marcus and McFeely.
Yeah, Marcus and McFeely is this parallel arcs and contrasting arcs of like Captain America learning to get a life and Tony learning to give his it was like Captain America learning to give up sacrifice for a life and Tony learning to give up life for sacrifice, like something like that. And so it's like that kind of a thing where we're like antithetic, where they're teaching each other, they're balancing each other out in this story, our two characters. And I'm seeing something that's very much like, what was the Mike Mills movie that just came out that everyone loved that I haven't seen with Joaquin Phoenix?
Come on.
I'm feeling the way
really
the
good.
vibes that trailer
So good.
had is the vibes that I'm also imagining of this movie too. But if Joaquin Phoenix were invisible and we're the ghost of Tony Hawk.
I think that checks out. I think that's the perfect movie.
Okay, excellent.
We've run out of time. I think we have enough to pitch sort of the basic idea of this and like the emotional arc, and hopefully the focus group is just really excited about our general ghost idea, because I think it's pretty fun. Hopefully they're a fan of Tony Hawk.
Is the movie called The Invisible Bird, or?
I think it should be like a skateboard term, like fakie, or like it sounds like you don't really know much about skateboarding. So.
Me? None.
Yeah.
I know
Did you say
nothing. None. I know.
I was really
nothing.
into skateboarding as like a middle schooler, but I think it should be like a skateboard term or something, or at least like a ghost pun that has something to do with the invisible man, the invisible.
I really like the invisible blank, like centripetal force is what we can call it.
Centripetal force.
It's pronounced centripetal. I said it right first time. Our focus group is waiting for a little while.
Yeah, let's see if we can think of anything invisible man pun by the end of this pitch. He's been a barista, a minister, skating rink DJ, delivery driver, and basically everything else under the sun. But most importantly, he's a friend. Welcome, Jesse Chaney, to the show. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Seth, I was really expecting the sound clip of applause. You've been on that soundboard lately, so I was fully expecting it.
You mean that one?
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yes, I love that you're on Seth for the soundboard.
Dude, this is one of my favorite new additions.
I want most guests to just come in and just request soundboard clips from Seth.
That's awesome.
Thing is, I don't remember what they are, so I am taking a leap of faith when I press any of them because I genuinely don't remember which one is which.
That's amazing.
I'm like, oh, a funny moment? Yep, that was relevant.
That's awesome.
Well, today we usually start these and I talk about our assignment, but today I kind of want to save that for the end because I don't want to spoil some elements of our story that I think are more fun to hear in the pitch. But Seth, would you want to start by?
Absolutely. I was really hoping you would let me do the opening.
Yes, I want to hear it again. A vision in my head.
Movie opens on a news broadcast, full screen. There's no setting to this TV screen. It's just like we're just getting a broadcast played right before us. And the anchor says, world-renowned skating legend Tony Hawk has died. The 53-year-old X Games gold medalist was practicing on his home ramp when he was struck by a bird, killing him instantly. And goes on to explain a little bit of backstory about Tony Hawk. Very brief briefing. He's like, we'll let you know as we find out more. But the skating world has lost. I didn't write this part. Has lost a legend today or something like that. Hard cut to black. We hear a doorbell ring. And we hear, yes, just like that. And we hear footsteps walking up to a front door, and we cut to a front door. Kid opens the door, and it's an 8-year-old boy, and we see what and then we cut to his POV, and there's nothing, nobody, nothing there. Front porch. We hear his mom like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "It's nobody," and shuts the door. And he's like barely gone before we hear a doorbell ring again. He comes back and opens it, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And we hear a voice say, "Kid, I'm right here." And then the kid kind of like freaks, shuts the door, locks it, and they call the police. That night, he's in his room, going to bed, and there's a knock on his window, and we hear that same voice say, "Kid, don't freak out." And kid freaks out, immediately calls police again. Police show up. We get kind of a little montage sequence of this till one day at school, that voice kind of corners him and says...
Yeah, but before that, it's like paranormal investigators, like all sorts of we sort of get a montage, like bunch of people are coming to this house, come through to investigate, something's happening. There's some sort of ghost or presence, like this voice that this kid keeps on talking about, but they can't find anything. And it's shot sort of like almost like a suspense, sort of like something serious is going on. Yeah. But anyways, Seth, continue.
Well, then finally this voice kind of corners his kid, and we learn that this voice is the voice of Tony Hawk, who has died, and before he can enter the gates of heaven has been assigned this kid to essentially, It's a Wonderful Life or A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, we kind of find out through some exposition from Tony that there's some sort of weird ghost organization that will send these ghosts to people to help teach them lessons
and finish unfinished business.
So he's been sent to this kid in the middle of nowhere, suburbs of Nebraska to teach him a lesson, but he doesn't exactly the brief wasn't very descriptive. He doesn't exactly know why he's there, but he has to teach the kid a lesson.
He figures the kid's going to tell him like what he needs help with, and the kid's like, "I'm fine. Like I really am fine, Tony Hawk. You can leave." By the way, we never see Tony Hawk. He's an invisible ghost. He's a totally invisible ghost. We see him we can see stuff floating in the air that he picks up or whatever, but he is. So this movie, the majority
completely
of this movie,
voice role.
Please tell me it's actually Tony Hawk cast though, and he's just in a 100%. Green morph suit the whole time.
Well, sure. Done. Done.
On set for days, just in a green morph suit.
100%. The tone of this movie, imagine, I've already forgotten it again, the Mike Mills movie.
Come on.
It is a small, intimate story about this...
Hunt for the Wilder People is another good reference.
Yeah, another good reference.
Just the tone and comedy of it's emotional, but it's also very funny, and there's sort of a mix between, this emotional storytelling with sort of goofy, wacky, ideas and visual tones. But yeah, the tone is sort of, we're following this 8-year-old kid, and we have Tony Hawk, and the gist of the movie, we're sort of in Act 2 now, is them sort of figuring out this mystery of why am I here helping you, and what problem do you need help with so that we can both move on with our lives. And we have a lot of fun with them in that sort of Act 2, the fun and games section where, Tony Hawk, he's just like, I want to go to heaven. Like, let me help you. Maybe I'm here to teach you how to skateboard. That was my whole thing, on the best skateboarder in the world, the most famous, whatever. So it's like, I'll teach you skateboarding. And the kid's basically like, well, if I learn how to skateboard, will you leave me alone? Like, I want to get this over with. And so we have this,
both reluctant to be around each other. I love it.
And so we have this montage of him learning how to skate, and the mom looks out the window, like pulls the curtains, and it's like him doing ollies in the driveway with the skateboard that has no one on it. Just like this, and she's basically has to become okay with the fact that there's a ghost with them at all times. But and we have them arguing like old friends, talking about Tony Hawk's like, a hot dog is a sandwich, and the kid's like, no. Hot dog is a hot dog. Sandwich is a sandwich.
And the kid is correct.
And the kid is correct, of course, as you know, Jesse.
Yes, I vehemently disagree, but that's fine. It's another Zoom call.
And anyway, so
Jesse out of the Zoom real quick. Just kidding.
So we have this sort of fun, but he teaches the kid how to skateboard. The kid, puts the skateboard in his backpack. He's walking to school all, cool. And Tony Hawk, we don't see his face. Obviously, he's invisible. But, we see this. And throughout the movie, we're like cutting to singles of Tony Hawk, but it's literally no one. So it's just an out of focus frame. And we imagine that his face is there looking, happy, but nothing happens. He's stuck. And we hear, like, wait, I thought that's what I was supposed to teach him. And throughout the movie, we're sort of trying to figure out why they're there. Seth, I'm sure you could jump in to talk about that, but we want this movie to sort of have a good message by the end where they're each sort of learning something from each other, and it's not just Tony teaching a lesson. Like they sort of each have something to learn from each other, which Seth can talk about.
Well, I think that it's essentially about like we're very much taking creative liberties with Tony Hawk and his personal life and character here. I have to disclaim that. So, Tony Hawk
he
himself
seems like an amazing guy.
Yeah, and he also seems like
Tony Hawk hears this episode or watches this episode.
He's definitely going to listen to this. He's definitely going to be offended by that we've decided that he is someone who struggles with separating his vocation with his own personal worth. The idea is that we want this kid, we find out like it actually would benefit from taking on a challenging activity in his life, something that like a challenging hobby, something that would teach him all about perseverance and like bettering yourself and like constantly like challenging yourself.
Yeah, because I guess we forgot to intro in the first act too. We'd kind of see this kid. He is, he has a great relationship with his mom and dad, and he's, whatever. Like he's got a good life, but we find out like throughout his life, he's always had these activities and sports, and he never follows through with them. He never like really reaches goals. He's just kind of okay with life as it is, and he's a gamer. He plays Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That's how he knows Tony Hawk, but that's like the extent of it. But
I would love if you played some other skateboarding game and Tony Hawk's like deeply offended when he comes into his house.
I love that.
He's like, skate too? Are you kidding me, dude? Why not?
I love that.
Pro skater.
It's in the movie. It's in
the movie. So
That's great.
The idea is that like this kid doesn't have anything that like he really like does. He doesn't have like a super passionate interest of any kind. And so he benefits from like Tony teaching him skateboarding, but Tony, however, benefits from learning that like there is value to Tony Hawk even if you take the skateboarding out of Tony Hawk. And so it's about the two of them balancing each other out, learning the value of having a hobby and having a thing that's yours, but also learning not to make that thing your identity and your like personal value. And that's really, we want to like spend an hour and a half having these two characters teach each other this. Like I said, we don't have, I don't think I said this, but like I'm saying right now, the third act, we don't really have fully formed. We don't know where we're specifically going with this. We think that we have talked about possibly, maybe there's an event that we don't, forgive me, Paul, if you mentioned this, but there's like a life event that the kid,
yeah, we wanted to climax at a big, like there almost be like a ticking clock or something where we know something's coming up, or maybe it's unexpected. And
I think it's unexpected. Like we talked about a parent dying or something like that. Something that it becomes clear, like, oh, like maybe Tony was sent here just to be here for this kid and to be a friend to this kid during what no one had any idea was going to be,
and sort of help him find something, a hobby or something to sort of keep his mind,
like an outlet to cope.
Yes,
exactly. An outlet to cope.
And it'd be this sort of, Taika Waititi-esque sort of, what do you call it? The genre that you like working in, Seth?
Oh, it's the worst term ever. It's soul surprise. The idea that like
soul surprise.
You're going to like make an absolutely hilarious comedy and then surprise everybody with like incredibly tender soul to the whole thing.
I think
that sounds like the name of the movie to me. It's Soul Surprise. That's
Soul Surprise.
Yeah.
No,
when you guys first mentioned Tony Hawk.
Soul Skater.
Tony Hawk's Soul Surprise.
Soul Skater, dude.
Soul Skater is great.
With that out of the way, I wanted to reveal our assignment now that you've kind of heard the movie. So we were assigned to write a ghost story, and the tone is mysterious. We tried to hit on mysterious with them not knowing why they're there. The demo is
showing Tony Hawk.
Yes, that was very mysterious as well. The demo is people that think hot dogs are sandwiches. The mandate is Tony Hawk does a 1080. We would show that in the beginning when he's,
archival footage. I definitely want to see an invisible Tony Hawk do a 1080.
It's just the skateboard.
And the wild card mandate was that there was very little money for VFX, hence the invisible Tony Hawk, and not Casper Tony Hawk, which was the original idea before our wild card. And we also did have an idea pool. We used 2 of the 5 ideas from our idea pool. We were given the suburbs, which is where our location is for the film, a werewolf, multiple dragons, a helicopter chase, and a public pool, which we didn't mention. Part of the skateboarding montage is they're skating in the pool.
Naturally. He teaches kids to drink the public pool. Yeah.
But with all that out of the way, is there any comments or questions that you have before we get into our discussion questions, our focus group questions?
Oh, man. Well, so many. No, none that I think we have time to address. But as a whole, dude, I'm in. I think there's a lot of metaphysical questions here that I'd like to dive into, but I'm not sure your audience would love that discussion as much.
Yes. What faith does Tony Hawk subscribe to, and what's the
like if he fails his mission, is it straight to hell? Like, is he
I honestly,
he's got a time limit.
That is an absolute conversation that's going to happen between the kid and Tony. Like the kid's going to ask, and Tony's not going to know the answer, but then Tony's going to be very concerned because he hasn't thought about that. Like,
it's like I think I actually do remember something about a timer on the creative brief.
And he's just like, I really don't want to go to hell. Like, and then he uses that as a motivator. Like, come on, kid, keep it up. Don't send Tony to hell.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay,
that's awesome.
Then I guess I'll ask you our questions. Which, first of all, from 1 to 10, how likely are you to see this movie?
Oh yeah, dude. I'll put it this way: I've seen a lot worse for a lot less. Okay, I would absolutely go see this movie.
That's going on the poster.
That's right.
Okay, what 1 to 10 though?
Dude, it's right up my alley. It's a solid 7. I'm a big Soul Surprise fan. I'll put it that way. I love movies that just come from behind. You're like, dang it, wasn't intending to we get you crying by the end when Tony is sent to the afterlife, but we have no idea where he's going because we can't see him. So the kid's just looking around like, are you still here? Did it work?
That's actually, oh my God, that's actually so wonderful and poignant. If he says, if we have this long, quiet, pull back,
the wind blows and
and we just hear the kids say, and they've done this joke throughout where he's like, "Are you still here?" And he is there or he's not. Yeah. We've done this, but in this moment we pull back and we know we feel like this kid's gonna be okay, and we just hear him say, "Are you still here?" And we hard cut, or we just do, and he goes even longer after he asks it, and then we hard cut to Untitled. Yes. That's actually so sweet. My heart just warmed up, and I'm gonna cry. It's so sweet.
You're
the
welcome.
Best part is the ambiguity of whether or not Tony succeeded, or if he just ran out of time.
Oh, the post-credit sequence is Tony absolutely in heaven, going, "Thank God."
Yeah,
thank God, and God's sake, you're welcome.
Right.
Okay, so 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this movie to a friend?
Oh man, that depends on the friend. There are people who take themselves way too seriously in my life. So the majority of my friends, 1 to 10, dude. The fanaticism with which I bugle for things like Nacho Libre and Hot Rod,
I know.
So a movie like this is right up my alley.
Love it.
Love it.
So adherence to assignment 1 to 10, we had a mysterious ghost story for people that think hot dogs are sandwiches. Tony Hawk does a 1080, and there's very little money for VFX.
10 out of 10. It's just Tony Hawk doing voiceover. What VFX do you need? And is the 1080 physical, or is the 1080 metaphorical? He's turned it around.
Wow.
Wow.
He does a metaphorical 1080. Holy crap.
Yeah. A spiritual 1080.
Yes, right.
That's good.
Is that
Tony
the title?
Tony Hawk's spiritual 1080. I definitely think Tony Hawk 'S is at the front of whatever our title is.
Yes, but I think it has to be Tony Hawk's blank skater.
Yeah,
that's
Tony Hawk's a ghost skater.
Soul Skater.
Soul Skater's pretty great.
I think isn't Soul Skating Brink? Isn't that a Brink thing?
I think of Soul Surfer, the chick with the shark arm.
Yeah, no, there's Soul Surfer, and then Soul Skater is what they call themselves in Brink. But I'm totally fine with Tony Hawk's Soul Skater. Anyways, our fourth question is rank the overall idea from 1 to 10. So that's everything you heard without, trying to be unbiased by what you like. What is the, overall idea 1 to 10?
I'm not going to lie, dude. When you guys first started, I was like, I don't know, man. It felt a little like Three Ninjas-y, like that genre of just over the top, super goofy, kind of deal. But by the end, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, this could work. I think objectively, solid 8, dude.
Okay.
You're making your money back for sure, and then some.
And then our ideas, we had 2 points each. We were able to get 2 out of 5, so that's 4 points, which puts our total at a
39.
39, which means
we sold the movie.
We sold our movie.
Tony Hawk's Soul Skater is coming to theaters nationwide.
That's awesome.
I just want to thank Jesse Chaney. I want to thank Tony Hawk. I want to thank the Tony Hawk family, Birdhouse Skateboards,
for allowing this to be made. Yes, naturally, his skateboard company owns his life rights when he dies. 100%.
Yeah. Shout out to Ironic Deaths. Tony Hawk getting murdered by a bird is amazing.
That was awesome. Tony Hawk's Soul Skater coming to cinemas
this Friday. We don't have much time.
This Friday.
Yeah, before the podcast even releases.
The Writers' Room Game Show with me, Brian Pollock, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers' Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.
What's your favorite joke from Muppets in Space? It's when
I didn't even know there was Muppets in Space.
It's when Jeffrey Tambor, he's foreground. The bear is his like assistant or secretary out in the background. There's like a pane of glass between them at his desk. Tambor reaches down to his intercom and says, "Bring in the remote." And then we just see in the distance the bear go. And he doesn't say it in the intercom. He yells it. He goes, "The goat!" And it's just probably the funniest shot the Muppets have ever done, in my opinion. And that's the answer to that question.
Rancho. Yes, sir? The remote. The goat? The remote. The remote? The remote? I thought he said the goat.